Yo, what's good, guys? Definitely Glade here, and welcome to another video. Now, in today's video, we are going to be talking about my VGC France Hexa Cup run and how I got into top 16 in a 134 player cup. And we're also going to be kind of discussing the meta right now. Now, normally I'm not going to cover every one of my top cuts unless I really win the tournament or unless I get top 4 in a major tournament. But today I wanted to talk about the meta right now because I played quite a bit of VGC this weekend on Saturday. Yesterday. As of this recording, yesterday I played from 7 in the morning to 4 in the afternoon, so quite a lot of VGC. I had to wake up today at 5:45 for top cut, so I'm a bit tired. But I did want to make a video because I haven't made a video in a while. But before we get into it, if you guys are hyped for this video and want more VGC content coming your way, smash that like button down below and please subscribe. Thank you for all the support thus far. But we're going to be talking about the meta today because the meta today it's pretty interesting. It is pretty interesting, dude. It is a pretty interesting meta that we have here, that we have going on here. All right, so first off, I'm going to talk about the tournament. So what is this video about? So this the company, this Twitter called VGC France, they put on this tournament called the Hexa Cup. Now the Hexa Cup was hosted by VGC France. It basically an online tournament, obviously, and basically it was more geared towards would you say French time zone friendly. So French people, they started at 1 in the afternoon, I think, for them, but I'm in eastern side of the US, so we started at 7 in the morning. But basically there was 134 players in this tournament, and top cut, there was, I think, $600 in prizes up for grabs, and unfortunately I missed out on the prizes by 1 win in top cut, but it's all right. So today we're going to be talking about my matches, kind of going over briefly and kind of discussing the meta right now because I haven't really done a meta analysis on my channel. Actually, in a little bit. So we're going to talk about it today. So my first round I faced hold on. That's round 8. I was about to say my first round I faced Sableye VGC. Very good VGC player from Canada. Actually, he also cut this tournament. So a very, very good player. Extremely good player from Canada. But as we can see, I have my notes written down, so I'm going to talk over it. So he was using Dragapult, Urshifu, Dark, Fini, Cress, Rotom, and Glacier. Now Glacier, I mean, might have fallen off a little bit, but it's still incredibly popular because it fell off a little bit because people started to analyze the ways to beat it. Before we get into this, this is the team that I used to get top 16, and I had the rental code up. This is my first time, but I have the rental code up. So if you want to use the team yourself, it's Tapu Fini, Clefairy, Avitana, Shuka Ensign, Life Orb Dose, and Weakness Policy Metagross. There you go. That's the team. Won't be talking too much about it, at least until we get to the matches, which we are going on to. So looking at the matchup, his main offensive was probably Dragapult, but because I had a Clefairy next to it, it was kind of tough. It was kind of tough for him. Let's put it that way. It was a little tough for him. So he really wanted to rely on game 1 he won Glacier. He Dynamax Glacier, but I just went Metagross and I kind of stalled out his Dynamax and I Steel Spiked his Glacier because I knew from it was an open team sheet tournament, so I knew he was Assault Vest Glacier, not the Weakness Policy variant. So I was good to just Steel Spike it. I Steel Spiked his Crest as well, and I just kind of stalled out and I ended up winning game 1. Game 2, he went and Dynamaxed his Dragapult turn 1 because I let Metagross Clef and he went for the Phantasm into Clef. What I decided to do was I switched out Metagross into Instant, protected Clef turn 1, then turn 2 went for a Max Instant, went for a Max Darkness, Helping Hand Max Darkness into Dragapult, knocked out Dragapult that turn and proceeded to work around the Urshifu in the late game. I was able to win late game, but late game was kind of tough just because late game was tough because, I mean, my opponent got a Muddy Water. Ryan got a Muddy Water accuracy drop on my Feeny, and my Feeny didn't miss any of the moves in late game. It didn't miss any of the 3 moves that I needed it to land in order to win. But that was round 1. So already we're seeing that even though there are counters to Glacier is just still good. It's still good. It's still dominant. I think. Whoa. Excuse me. Glacier and Cut. There was one Glacier and Cut, which shows even though a lot of people are prepared for it, it's still very good. All right, round 2. Who did I face? Let me see if I can find my name. Did I win round 2? I did not. I faced VGC. I don't actually know how. Yeah, I faced VGC, a very good Finnish player. Very, very good Finnish player. He's actually in top 4 in the tournament right now. He actually might have won. I don't really know. Hold on. We're going to check. He might have won his top cut match. He is a... Oh, no. Okay, so Weeble Wops won. All right, but he made top 4. He made top 4 of the tournament. And he used a scary ass team. And this is what I also wanted to talk about. He used a scary team. A scary team. So, his team, well, actually, by the time I upload this, he's already done playing. But I'm not gonna like give away item like EVs or anything. But his team was Porygon 2, Tapu Koko, Torkoal, Venu, Rhyperior, and Regieleki. And one thing to note is that Rhyperior isn't. It's still threatening. Of course, it's still threatening, but it's not as threatening. Just because I have Tapu Fini. Tapu Fini is one of the most used mods. Excuse me, I'm very tired. But the counter argument to that is he has P2, or he has Koko and Regieleki. And here's the thing with Regieleki. That mon is so good. You can run screens or you can go full offense. He Dynamaxed that thing in front of me, and I just got 4-0'd because I did not look at my team and tell me what is my way to deal with. What is my way to deal with Regieleki turn 1? If they leave Regieleki Venu. I mean, Clefairy Metagross, but then if they get Trick Room up, and guess what comes in? Rhyperior or Torkoal, and then just messes me up. You know what I mean? It was a very, very tough matchup. I ended up losing that. I won the second round. I don't know how, but I won the second round and then I lost the third. Alright, I won the second match and I lost the third. But another thing to note is that Trick Room, Sun Room teams are still incredibly good. Please watch out for Sun. Sun as an archetype, it has been incredibly dominant throughout VGC 20. And going into VGC 2021, I would expect no different. It's just extremely dominant. And be careful. Let's put it that way. Be careful because trust me, it's going to be good. It's going to be good. Yeah, it's going to be extremely good. Let it be known. Let it be known. It's going to be good. 100%. 100%. All right. And in round 3, I faced Rayan. He was using Metagross, Lando, Torn, Nihilego, Instant, and Feeny. Another thing you have to watch out for is Metagross add Torn. Brutal Swing with Tornadus into Metagross procs the policy. Also Nihilego, so he was using archetype. He wasn't using that, but he was using Nihilego. Nihilego uses Power Herb, so they can go for Meteor Beam in one turn. And Nihilego Meteor Beam does so much damage. It is insane. I can't believe it. It does so much damage. So you have to be careful for Nihilego. Yes, is it counterable by some mons? Yes. I mean, if you have a faster like Kartana, Metagross, all that, even oh god. Excuse me, I'm so tired. Even Nihilego to a certain extent, or even Urshifu to a certain extent. But if you support Nihilego right, it's a very, very difficult mod to beat. And I only won game 2 because I kind of flubbed game 2, and I only won because I protected my Metagross when late game. It was late game. He had full health Nihilego at +1 versus my Metagross at 30% at 20% versus my full, pretty much my instant at around 80%. And I figured, and I knew I couldn't one shot with a Lariat into Nihilego. And I knew my opponent would target Metagross, so I just went for the Protect on meta. Then went for Lariat. They went for the Power Gem into Metagross. Then next turn, you can only KO 1, and then I won from that. But still, it just shows the power of Metagross. Also, Landorus is still incredibly good. Landorus, you're starting to see a lot more AV sets, so they can take a lot more hits. Landorus is really good. It doesn't spam Earthquakes as much. It doesn't spam Earthquakes, but what it does is it spams Rock Slides. And if anything, we already know spamming Rock Slides is just So good. It's so good, guys. It's too good. With base 145 attack, very, very strong Pokemon, and also a great Dynamax candidate, just because it has ground and flying from max moves are incredibly good. All right, round 4, I faced Tagmouse. I'm pretty sure that's who it was. Now this match was scary. Where is it? Yeah, here we go. Tagmouse. I'm pretty sure that's Tagmouse. He's a great player. They were using Fini, Incin, Tana, Nihilego, Aleki, and Polt. Now, I thought Aleki was going to be screens in this team, but it wasn't. But god dang, Nihilego is scary. But I ended up winning 2-0, but it's a scary matchup. But you're starting to see a trend. Fini is the most dominant Pokemon out there, by far. And you know what I said in the beginning? Just when Series 7 was released, I said Fini would be the best Tapu. I'm pretty sure I did, at least. And here we go. Your boy's never wrong. your boy's never wrong. Alright, so Fini is just incredibly good, versatile. And you see that Fire Water Grass. You're going to see a lot of Fire Water Grass. I mean, Fini, Incin, Tana is an incredibly good core. Cores that I've noticed, Fini, Incin, Tana is one. And then Metagross, Urshifu, Thundurus, and Urshifu, Thundurus, Nihilego is another one. So you have the Fire Water Grass core, and then the Urshifu, Thundurus, Nihilego. That's another very popular core. That core is called Nut. Because Nihilego, Urshifu, Thundurus. And Aleki is still just incredibly good. Like, there's no denying that Aleki is still amazing. It is amazing. And Dragapult is still incredibly good. It's an incredibly good. It's just amazing Pokemon. Holy crap. This thing's good. This thing's amazing. It's still an incredible Pokemon, still an incredible Dynamax Pokemon. So you're seeing a bunch of the new Pokemon return. So think of it as like a 2018 meta. You're having Landorus return, you're having Kartana return, you're having Tapu Fini return, but then there's Regieleki. So you're starting to see a pattern. You're starting to see, what's going to be good. You're starting to see Kartana, Fini, Metagross is good, Urshifu's coming back, Nihilego's coming back with a vengeance. I didn't really face many Thundurus though. But round 5 I faced Dami Wow. And he was running Landorus, Rillaboom, Urshifu. So another Urshifu, Incineroar, Celesteela, and Regieleki, another common trait. So you're seeing a bunch of Regieleki, and for good reason. This thing just hits so dang hard. I mean, it is incredible how hard this thing hits. Regieleki, it's insane. It is insane, and you're not even relegated to go just that one. You're not even relegated. You're not even stuck using that one offensive set. You can go. I want to, but you can go. Got a Discord notification. The finals. All right, cool. So the finals of the tournament are going on now. That's cool. But yeah, Regieleki's so good because you can go dual screens. You can go full offense mode with Magnet. It just has a lot of good. It has a lot of good lead pressure, because lead pressure is very important, and Regieleki just excels in that, because there are many instances in which I want to lead Fini, but then I know if I lead Fini, I'm going to be facing down a Regieleki. You know what I mean? And here's the thing with Regieleki. I mean, this was an open note tournament, so we knew each other's sets. But here's the thing with Regieleki. Online, I could protect turn 1 and they could set a screen. You know what I mean? Or I could think they're going to set a screen turn 1 and they just go straight off for offensive, That's why Regieleki is so good. It puts on so much offensive pressure, and it really influences how your opponent is going to play. How your opponent's going to lead, excuse me. This is my Twitter if you didn't know. I'm assuming you already picked up on that. It says we're 14 minutes in. Alright, round 6. I faced I didn't write down who that was. Okay. Well, I don't know who I faced round 6. Okay. Let's find out. I did not win round 6. I will have a note. I faced Kamikaze. Now Kamikaze also made Top Cut. They were using Tana, Kiss, Colossal, Urshifu, Water, Glacier, and Dragapult. Now, another thing to note here is that other than Togekiss is a pretty niche pick in this format. I think Togekiss actually is kind of bad because there are just better Follow Me users like Clefairy. I know it sounds weird to say that, but Clefairy, I can see why you use Togekiss. Togekiss has a specific niche. I'll allow Togekiss. I'd say Togekiss is still good, but not as good as it used to be, obviously. Obviously, Tana is just incredibly good. Tana just puts on so much offensive pressure. Tapu Fini being the #1 used Pokemon. It puts off offensive pressure against the majority of the steals. Can wall Metagross. Deals with Tapu Fini. Can deal with Incineroar with Sacred Sword. There's also actually another check to Kartana depending on the speed tiering, so you can... is my mouse just kind of like stuttering? I don't know. So you can just go for the Sacred Swords. It's incredibly good. Incredibly good. Alright. What else do we have? So, Colossal. Colossal is still threatening. A lot of people were not prepared for Colossal, and neither was I. And I didn't play the best. I made a really bad play turn 1. I quaked the Colossal turn 1, and he switched into Togekiss, and I thought he was going to switch into Togekiss, and I didn't Steel Spike it like I should have. But, it's just... a lot of people are not prepared for Colossal. That's one of those archetypes where it's always scary to face. And here's the thing, Colossal, a well-played Cole-Polt team is incredibly hard to beat, and that is no different with Kamikaze. Kamikaze played it absolutely fantastically. So that's the issue. So when you're building, at least keep in mind the Cole-Polt matchup, because keep in mind the Cole-Polt matchup, and have in mind what you would do in that matchup, because honestly, if you find that your team is lacking in a Cole-Polt matchup, it might come back to haunt you, because Cole-Polt has like its rises and its falls, and honestly, we might see a rise in Cole-Polt. I'm not gonna lie, I think Cole-Polt is gonna be extremely good, or even Urshipolt, or Urshifu and Cole. I think it's gonna be extremely good. I lost. I got 2-0'd by that. Yeah, it was not pretty. I didn't play the best though, obviously, but it was tricky. I mean, the combination of Urshifu, Cole, Togekiss, and Tana. Like, here's the thing with Urshifu. As soon as you remove redirection from the equation, like the reason why they didn't choose to lead Dragapult is because Surf does a lot of damage, and Urshifu can go for those surging strikes, but as soon as, and Dragon Ball can't do much except Surf, but so what they can do is, you're really a puppeteer to Cole-Polt matchups, because you basically have to play into your opponent and play into the Cole-Polt. Like, you have to make sure that you can counter Cole-Polt as a lead, or else you lose. But it's up to your opponent to whether they actually really want to go that route or not, honestly. So that's really another thing to look at, just the Cole-Polt matchup, because that screwed me over. So definitely, in Series 7, don't exclude Cole and Polt, because I think Cole and Polt is still incredibly viable, and I would not be surprised if we see it being used to win major tournaments going forward. I mean, it won the first Players Cup. I think it can pull another major win here, especially in these online Victory Road and and Rose Tower tournaments. I think it's definitely possible, just because I feel, to me, that I kind of forgot about Colossal Polt because I never saw it, and then it showed up, and then I'm like, well, damn, like, what do I do? And I feel like that's the same for a lot of people. So please, if there's one thing you should take away from this video, it's that, you know, while Cole-Polt, it may not be very popular, please keep in mind that you should have a matchup for it, because if you don't, and it's gonna be rough, because Cole-Polt players, they kind of they prey on those that really don't know their matchup well. All right, that's enough said about Cole-Polt. Round 7, I faced Genius VGC, who I heard of, but he was using. I won against him, obviously, because I made top cut, but Genius was using. You had to go. There was 8 rounds, and there was 8 rounds, and you had to go at least X and 2 to make cut, and I went X and 2. So he was using Venu, Cole, Regieleki, Ursh, Rhyperior, P2. Now very similar, or pretty similar to actually extremely similar to what OE VGC was using. They have 5 of the same 6 mods, except Tapu Koko was switched out for Urshifu. So Venusaur, Cole, Regieleki, Urshifu, Rhyperior, P2. I mean, I ended up winning against that because I just played very defensively, and I just waited and I was patient, and then I waited for the right opportunity to strike and hit hard. I'm not gonna go over the match. I don't really have any I don't have any replays of it, but like that's the thing with Trick Room. Trick Room's still good. Don't knock Trick Room off, or don't knock it out of its possibilities, and don't think of Trick Room as really one-dimensional in the fact that it's just Glastrier, because from this tournament there was evidence. I mean, obviously each of these players is incredibly skilled that I went up against. I mean, the first Sunroom player I talked about made it into top 4 of a 134 player tournament, and lost to a regional champion. who is in finals. You know what I mean? Incredibly skilled players that are using this, and I'm sure they're team building with their buddies. So expect to see more Sunroom and be prepared for Sunroom. My advice for Sunroom is to be very patient with it. Be very patient with I wouldn't say be safe. Don't be super safe, but play it very patiently. Don't try to go full offensive in the beginning unless it's literally just a game-winning play. But try to stall it out. Try to weaken them over time and try to whittle down their tools. That is my goal. Or if you can stop their Trick Room straight up, that's great. But they could always lead Venusaur P2 and just go for those sleep powders. You never really know. So you do have to be careful. And they could also lead Urshifu or Regieleki. So you don't know. It's just, in my opinion, I think it's wise to play a Trick Room matchup very carefully and very slowly. Not safely, but just very defensively until you can get defensively, but putting on enough offensive pressure to chip your opponent down over time to then when Trick Room expires, they're weakened enough that you can just kind of pick them off and then they can't set it back up. Or if they do happen to set it back up, they're weakened so much that it doesn't really help them out that much. But I ended up winning that 2-0, which I was super surprised because that was a very stressful match. I mean, I had to hyper focus that match, 100% hyper focus that match. But yeah, Venu, Cole, Regieleki, Urshifu, Rhyperior, and P2 is insane. And for round 8, ladies and gentlemen, it was a rough one. It was a rough one. We faced, where am I? Oh, I faced Grandma's Cooking. I'm pretty sure that's who it is. I faced Grandma's Cooking, a pretty good player on Pokemon. That's on Pokemon Channel quite a lot. So what was Grandma's cooking with? That was so bad. I apologize. That was terrible. You could probably just unsubscribe for that, but don't. So Grandma was rocking the Moltres, the Galarian Moltres, the Tapu Fini, the Togedemaru, the Landorus, the Tana, and the Regirock. Now their entire strategy was revolved around pretty much Moltres. And at first, you could look at my team and say, okay, what is your best way to deal with Moltres? Well, it's Fini, but they have Regirock and they have Togedemaru, right? Or, excuse me, not Regirock. They have Tana and they have Maru, right? I still brought Fini because Fini's still good, but you're looking at it, you're like, well, you might not want to bring Zapdos. Like, Zapdos looks good here, but it's not good against Maru. But that's where you're wrong. So I did not bring Zapdos the first game against them, and that was a mistake. And I ended up losing. I think, getting 4-0'd game 1. And then I just kind of sat there because I think I overanalyzed it because I had a bit more time to prepare for this match. And then I just kind of sat there for a second, think to myself, like in anime when the main protagonist gets also like super hyper focused, and then they go for like the power of friendship plays and then they win. Well, that was kind of me, just minus the power of friendship and actually knowing what to do. And so I'm like, all right, I was looking at the matchup and I was like, okay, well, Zapdos is so good here because if you look at Moltres, Fini, Landorus, Tana, and Togedemaru, I hit all of them for huge amounts of damage. Like, even resisted max airstreams are going to be doing a lot. And so what I did, I just supported Zapdos, Dynamaxed it, and just kept putting on pressure, kept putting on damage, but never getting the Moltres below half. But kept putting on pressure, just basically went for airstreams all the time because I knew I did not want to let my opponent's Moltres outspeed my Zapdos, because I knew at the moment it did. Like, the moment I got rid of Togedemaru, the moment I could just go for the Thunderbolts. But, so I lost the first game. I ended up 4-0ing him in the second game, and the third game was a lot closer. He did adjust a lot better and play a lot better, and it came down to my Tapu Fini and my Kartana and his Kartana. And his Kartana actually had Substitute. And so, his Kartana and his Landorus. So what I did was I Leaf Bladed the Landorus, so I got rid of the Landorus. And I guess he was expecting me to protect my Tapu Fini that turn, so he went for the Substitute, which was a very good play, because let's say he went for the Leaf Blade into my Tapu Fini. It was also Rose Incense, Kartana. It would have just one-shot my Tapu Fini, and then he could just go for the Sacred Sword, because he outsped me, since I don't have too much speed on Tana. So I figured he would probably go for the Substitute, so what I decided to do was Moonblast instead to break the sub, so the next turn, I could go for a Sacred Sword and a Moonblast and maybe hope that a resistant Moonblast would KO just because Kartana's not AV. And he went for the Sacred Sword into my Kartana. I lived at 8 HP and I was able to KO his Kartana back with the Sacred Sword. And I popped off like a madman. I wasn't on stream, so it was fine, but I popped off like a madman. But that's the thing. Moltres is still incredibly good, and I don't know if Moltres Comfort is the way of the future. In my opinion, I think it's like Moltres Raichu, Moltres Togedemaru, because a lot of those, Moltres struggles to deal with something like Regieleki, or, I mean, it can probably one-shot Regieleki, but it's taking a lot of damage in return. Regieleki or Zapdos, those Pokemon. I mean, Tapu Koko is not really used, so not Tapu Koko really, but you know what I mean, electric types. But having an electric user there is just insanely good. It's kind of like with the whole, it was like the whole Lapras team. Like, you wanted to hit Lapras with super effective electric type moves, but they have a Lightning Rod user there, and you're like, big oof, that kind of sucks. But yeah, I ended up winning that match, and so that was Swiss rounds. So some things to take away from that. Number one, Sunroom is going to become very prevalent. In my opinion, I think Sunroom is going to be one of the best archetypes, if not the best archetype in the upcoming weeks. Another thing to take into account is that colossal teams are still obviously very potent and still very powerful. So you should definitely have some checks and answers for them. Please make sure you do. It will make your life a lot easier. Another thing to note is that some of the best mons right now are going to be the Tapu Fini, the Regieleki, the Urshifu, the Incineroar, the Kartana, those sort of Pokemon. So please have those Pokemon on your radar and know that Kartana most of the time is a V. And know that I didn't fight too many Metagross, but Metagross is still incredibly good. But people are starting to build more. People are starting to build more to counter it. The reason why I didn't really use Metagross as much as I thought I initially would. Metagross still served its purpose on the team, but that's something you won't really encounter in ladder, but you'll encounter in tournaments. People really building for the meta. In my top cut match, it was against Weeblewobs, which he is the 2019 Greensboro regional champion. He was the guy who used, I think, Ogre Moltres or Ogre Ho-Oh and won a regional with it. So shout outs to him. But he was using Moltres, Raichu, Lapras, Tana, Regirock, and Dusclops, and he actually used Regirock to beat me, so props to him. But you can see the Moltres and the Lapras, two mons that Zapdos. Look at my Zapdos. It freaks him up, dude. But Raichu helps with that. And still, Kartana's really good here. Like, he's still pretty Tana weak, but he has ways around it with Raichu going for those nuzzles. Raichu going for those nuzzles, going for the Volt Switch, going for the Fake Out, stuff like that can kind of neuter the Kartana a little bit. So Moltres is still incredibly good, and like I said, I think Moltres Comfy is a thing in the past, and now I think we're going to see the rise. In my opinion, in high level play, you're going to see the rise of Moltres Raichu. But those are my thoughts. So I ended up losing in top 16 to him. I got 2-0'd, but it was fine. There were some close games. I made a misplay game 2, and I could have won. I could have brought it to a game 3, but it's fine. Looking back, that was my mistake. But it's alright. We're only gonna improve from here. But anyways, that's kind of what I wanted to talk about. I wanted to talk about, hey, here's how I did in the tournament, but also talk about the meta, things to watch out for, things to expect, because this tournament was an eye opener to what the upcoming meta might look like. And I think it's good to keep online tournament results in mind, especially with the tournament like this one. 134 players is not a small tournament. And I faced a lot of good players. I mean, I made it into top cut. I made it into top 16 out of 134 players. I've seen these players' teams, and it's good players, great teams. And you're going to be seeing these teams at high level play again. I can almost guarantee you. So this video wasn't much of a, hey, here's how I did, but this video is kind of more of a, here's what you should watch out for, because I had this experience in this tournament. Because honestly, top 16 and 134 is good, but it's not anything crazy, you know what I mean? Anyways, guys, I'm really Glade. I'm pretty tired. I might go to bed. We have family coming over as well, so yeah. I'll see you guys in the next video.